How we doing, guys? Welcome to my YouTube. So on today's YouTube, I just wanted to go over a bit about me and talk about how I've progressed from being a professional chef into being a personal trainer, sports massage therapist, and gym owner. Giving a little bit more about who I am and what where I've come from, sort of thing. So I started off from teen. My family had never been a massive into the gym, sports, or anything like that. My dad played cricket competitively as younger, but that's about the extent of my family. So I never grew up with parents that was massively into the gym, training or anything like that. In fact, when I went into personal training, my mum and dad told me it was a hobby, not a job. Become a well-paid job, a hobby. Sorry. So I started to play. I started in martial arts when I was about 11. Didn't really enjoy karate. It was too rigid. I didn't enjoy it. So that went by the way. Got into basketball and loved playing basketball. Still do love basketball. Just don't have the time. Managed to play for Leicester Cadets. Played at school. Just really, like, you would never see me when I was like in my early teens, even towards the end of my late teens. I always had a basketball pretty close to me. Was always down at Granby Halls. If you know, you know. Granby Halls is one of Leicester's old places where the Leicester Riders used to play. It was one of them. Every Sunday was down there as soon as the doors open, and I left when the shop kicked us out. I was constantly around, wanted to play ball, wanted to be around people who were playing ball. So I did really enjoy that. At the same time, I was also my dad started taking me shooting. Was massive into shooting. Was on the track to go to the Olympics. Unfortunately, again, if you're old enough, you'll know the Dunblane incident where the gun laws then changed in the UK and did shut a lot of gun clubs down, mine being one of them. I still, when I get a chance to shoot today, still relatively good, considering I don't shoot as often as I'd like. Again, comes down to time, and I definitely need to. I think when we get older, we don't prioritise having the time, and that's one I don't prioritise, which I should. I knew coming out of school that I wanted to be a chef. I really enjoyed cooking, enjoyed food, so got into that sort of side and went to college for chefing. Still at the same time, I wanted to play basketball, and was asked by an American coach from one of the basketball teams I was playing for if I'd be interested in trying to go to America and do college in America and play ball. But catering took me off in a different direction at that point. So I went into being a chef, and I had a really successful career as a chef. I worked in France, all over the UK. Worked in Jersey. I've done Michelin star restaurants. Started off in a pub, as most people do, in the kitchens. Then I got a full-time job I got another job in a hotel. It was the Stacky's Hotel at that point. Went off to France for 3 months with a college program, and learned the way everyone worked in France, which is an experience as a 17-year-old going out to work in France, sort of thing. Come back, finished off college, got my first full-time job within a chef and brewer, which was a far cry from where I was. I'd been in a fine dining hotel, but I needed a full-time job. They hadn't got one for me. Stayed around for a few years with the chef and brewer. Knew it wasn't what I enjoyed. Like, it taught me speed. It taught me confidence within myself, and I actually managed to make it as a head chef by the time I was 21 in a chef and brewer. but I wasn't ready for that at that point I was too young mentally, and like it didn't work for me that well. I did manage then to get back into doing a little bit of fine dining restaurants and things like that. Bounced around, went into area a roving chef sort of thing. So I was on I'd go all over different places for back to Chef and Brewer, funnily enough, as an area chef, which I really enjoyed. Managed to met some friends along the way, and they was given a manager's job of a pub, so I went to work for them as a assistant manager. Still wasn't satisfied. I wanted more. I enjoyed the fine dining. I was missing it, so I looked and I managed to get a job in a Michelin star restaurant, which was amazing. Long hours. Like the things I learned from that chef, could never thank the guy enough for. But it also, at the same time, was a massive undertaking of time. Like we'd get in the kitchen around 9 o'clock. We'd start working. If you got out at 1 o'clock the next morning, you was fucking happy. Go to sleep and your days start again. Your days off, you would particularly pretty much be asleep. I did still try and play basketball at that time while I was being a chef. And I also started to get into the kickboxing. So someone had introduced me into kickboxing. I had quite a temper as a chef. I was a bad-tempered little shit. Probably the opposite to what I am currently. I'm quite laid back and relaxed these days. But yeah, I was a bad-tempered little shit as a younger chef. So kickboxing was my release. So I did get into kickboxing at that point. Met my kid's mum, and I knew that I wanted to come away from the chefing. So because I'd been doing the kickboxing, I'd actually managed to make it to my black belt, and one of the instructors had asked me to start teaching with him. And at this point, I was fed up of the hours with chefing and wanted to try and sort of step away from that sort of long hours. So I went into teaching kickboxing with this guy. Couldn't earn the money that I was earning with chefing, and there I found out then I was expecting my first child. So I went back into chefing. Really hated it, but was back in it. I was traveling around the country again, like working all over the place. My partner at the time decided that she was going to enroll me on a personal training course, because one of my guys that used to work for me teaching kickboxing was doing the same. And we'd been talking, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. It's something I'd like to do. So I enrolled on a personal training course online, do it around my own time, my own work. Probably took me a lot fucking longer than it should have, because working, having a child, and like when you're a chef, you work stupid amount of hours. I then did come back to Leicester to absolutely nail my home life. So I was offered 2 jobs to come back. One was a head chef, one was a sous chef. So I took the sous chef's job, and then I started to concentrate on my personal training course, and I started to get that done. And events happened that I then ended up unemployed, and I took the leap into going into personal training at that time, which was scary at the same time as was needed. Right? When you have that comfort of your good wage, you make excuses like, oh yeah, let's save so much and I'll then move into this sort of job. I'll start personal training. And you'd never do, because that security's there. It's like it's taking that leap, and sometimes that leap's a little bit more scary than you actually realise. And we tend to stay with safety. The decision was taken out of my hands when I lost my job. Was unfairly dismissed, got payout from it. So I finally had the opportunity to like, well, I either take another chef's job and go back to that safety, or I'm in a position now where I don't have a job. I might as well like try this. So I went into the personal training. Found it difficult to transition from being back of house where I don't have to deal with people to actually dealing with people. And people are arseholes. So I didn't like dealing with people. So at that time, the London Olympics came along, and a couple of my old chefs that I worked with me, was going to the Olympics, and I was asked if I was interested in doing some work. So I had the opportunity, and I went and worked the London Olympics, cooking for workforce and media, which was great fun. Long hours, again, was where I know I could make money. But it also then damaged the fact that any clients I'd built up, I sort of lost because I had to take that time away. But it was a decision I needed to either make money or like not pay bills, sort of thing. Came back, and I knew that I needed to be able to keep my clients and still earn money. So I took a part-time job chefing. Back to chef and brewer. There's a theme there. I keep going back to them because it was easy money. It was easy money, and I was quick. I was very quick, and went back to what I knew best, what I could do quick, and I could earn money at. So I was working a couple of days or a couple of shifts a week, like cooking, but still then building the personal training and like refining my skills within that. Interesting enough, I went to the Chef and Brewer, and they was doing the Chef of the Year competition. I was asked if I wanted to enter it by my manager because she knew how good I was with like cooking and stuff. And I was the only non-head chef to make it to the final of the competition, which was quite hilarious because these guys were all like, "Oh, what pub are you from? What pub are you from?" And like, "What position?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just a part-time chef, mate." And these are all like head chefs. And I'm wiping the floor with these guys, skill-wise, which was probably unfair with the fact I'd been through Michelin star and I wasn't actually a pub chef. It was just easy pickings for me. I was never going to win it because they weren't going to let a non-head chef. They'd asked me to take on the head chef's job numerous times. My area manager had, but I was never going to win it because they weren't going to let a guy win it that wasn't running up one of their pubs already. Because your menu then went also on the menu. Built up. I then moved from the gym I was at. I was at Click Fitness. Built a good. It was Click Fitness, and then went on to be Lifestyle Fitness. I built up a good client base, but I wanted a change of scenery. I went to Abbey Sports, and things went even better for me at Abbey Sports. I was really picking up good amount of clients, starting to see some results with clients come through better and better. But I knew in the back of my mind I needed more. I wanted more. I needed to. Social media started to take off a little bit more there, and you're seeing these guys start really getting them wow results. And it's like, I want to do that. How do I do that? And you don't know what you don't know. It's as simple as that. So I wanted to be that guy that wanted to learn, which was a real change in my aspect because I fucking hated school, and I wasn't never a massive academic. But I've probably done more courses now in the last 5 years than I've ever, and more education than I ever fucking wanted to at school, which I found bizarre at first. Like, I hated school, but I'm willing to learn and stuff. It's like, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it, sort of thing. This prior to going into lockdown, I'd had a call with Mark Coles, and we talked about, like, I'd done a conference with Charles Poliquin and really enjoyed listening to him talk, and his knowledge was just mind-blowing. And Mark had obviously done a couple of courses with Charles Poliquin, and I enrolled on the M10 mentorship because I knew I was lacking something, but you don't know what you're lacking until that comes about. Did my first day with the M10 mentorship. You went down to M10 Nottingham. That's not there anymore, funnily enough. They've changed the way they work. Their mentorship is still running. And you had to, on your first day there, you had to take one of the M10 coaches, which was daunting. These guys was classed as some of the best coaches in the country. You had to take one of their clients and train them. I would do like consultation and train them, and like that's daunting in itself. Like you're being judged on your coaching abilities by a top coach, and then they give you feedback once you spoke to the client and everything like that. On how you done, and it picked up on weaknesses that they need to work on with you on, and I got really good feedback, which was fantastic and a boost to know that my feedback was really positive and really good. And then you was allocated your mentorship. Mine was Joe Duffy, and he became my coach for a period of time as well. But we at that point we hit lockdown, which then changed the aspect of everything. So we'd hit lockdown, which at the time, like the online coaching space was just starting to like come about, but people didn't. I know, especially for myself at that point, I didn't really understand it or know about it, like the online. Which is a shame, because if I knew what I knew now, I'd have probably pushed that online aspect of coaching a lot more, and I'd have probably had a different style of business now to what I had, to what I do have. But hindsight's always a beautiful thing. It's like when you think back to it. To me, personal training at that point was always in person. And it wasn't about training people. I thought training people online was sitting on Zoom watching them fucking do exercises, and it was boring as shit. I hated it. Lockdown hit, as I say, so for mental health reasons, I managed to keep myself sane by doing the M10. We had a lot of calls with these guys, and these guys kept us going with weekly videos and calls and things like that. So I managed to do a lot of education through lockdown, and which really helped me to keep my business going, sort of thing. We came out of lockdown, we started again, and you sort of go back to the gyms and you start to try and rebuild. Then lockdown hit again. We got put back into lockdown a few weeks later, and it was just draining by this point. Like for me, I was like, I've never understood the people when they say they suffer with mental health until that point where I was like, my partner had gone out to work, she was still working, and I was like, she come back and I was like, I need to go for a drive. I am losing my mind being in the house. And that's when I realised, like, this is most what it feels like when you really feel low and like just bored and stuff. So definitely that was an eye-opening experience at that point for me. We came out of the lockdown finally, and I the conversation with my partner, I'm sick to this, death of this. Like, you try and build your business back up. You've lost clients because they've dropped off, they've not been working, couldn't afford to carry on. So you start to rebuild again. And I was like, look, I need to either do something different within the fitness space, or I've got to go back to chefing. And the thought of going back to chefing just at that point made me feel sick. I didn't want to do that. I couldn't face doing that again. And to make sure I got out of the chefing space, I'd already done like I'd re-educated myself with a sports massage course. So I was doing sports massages, and luckily for me, like I'd done the level 4 of sports massage. I'd got a contract with the Addicts Dance Academy. Coming out of lockdown, when some gyms could open but others couldn't, mine was one that couldn't. They kept my business going by doing sports massages with the contract of Addicts Dance Academy. These guys come out of lockdown doing nothing to all of a sudden going 110 miles an hour of dancing and was in bits. So I had a lot of work on doing sports massages at that point. So luckily for me, like I managed to keep myself busy just before we got back into the gyms. As I said, I needed to do something new, and I'd heard of a gym for sale prior to going into lockdown, and I was like, nah, I'm not interested. The gym's a shithole. It's crap. I didn't want it. It's not for me. So I come out of lockdown, and I had this conversation with the original person that told me about the gym. I was like, is that still for sale? He's like, yeah, it's still up for sale. He's like, I asked him to find out how much this guy wanted for it. I'd got a client at that time telling me that he was like, oh, you should open a gym, I'll back you. It'll be really good. So I said to him, I was like, are you ready to put your money where your mouth is? I'm like, I've got a gym. I know how much it is. I'm going to make an offer on it. Are you ready to, you ready to put your money where your mouth is and it back me? He's like, yeah, do it. So I put an offer into this gym. One thing led to another. The guy didn't end up investing within the gym. But I'm a sort of person, once I have something in my head, I want to do it. So I knew that I wanted to take this gym and I wanted to make it something. I needed to do this, like for my own. And I was building back up nicely. So I was in a position where I was getting quite comfortable. I didn't need to do something different. But I'd got in my head, I wanted this gym now. And that was it. So I started to look into, how can I finance this? How can I do this? Like, we've got a price. I know what I want to do. M10 gym had given me some ideas of how I wanted to have a gym. So I knew what I needed to do. I just needed the finances. Found some bits and bobs of like how I could do it, government schemes and stuff like that. I was like, right. But I'd also been doing a strength conditioning for a football team, and one of the guys on it, this was prior to lockdown, we'd had contact through lockdown. I'd been and he'd built a little gym in the bottom of his pub, because obviously his pub couldn't open. I'd had a training session there with him, and we'd been talking and stuff, and someone had told me who wanted to open a gym, so I'd seen him in the gym. I was like, hey, fancy having a chat? I've got something to put to you. So I'd put this proposal to him about whether he wanted to go in business with me. And we took the leap. He come to look at the gym. We looked around it. We knew there was a lot of work needed doing. And we put an offer in. And we got the offer accepted, and we bought the gym. And that's what is now Tab 24. We now, it sits today, come August, we will be, it's February at the minute. Come August, we'll be 5 years open. We're now Prime USA registered. First gym in Leicester. Took it from about 70, 80 members. We're now sitting just over 350 members. We're not a massive gym, and we are talking at the minute about opening our second site. So he has become a massively busy and successful gym. I've carried on with the personal training. When we opened the gym, I went into a business mentorship, the OTE, to hone my skills and build more online coaching, because as my time got harder to, I'd got more things to do with my time with owning the gym. It was harder to fit clients in, and I wanted to push more online. Learned some new skills from that. One of the things that I used to talk about was doing photo shoots. So I was like, I want to do this. I want to do a photo shoot with some clients. And so I put it to 4 of my clients. I was like, do you fancy a challenge? This is what we're going to do. And I run my first photo shoot. And I'm now 6 photo shoots in. And each photo shoot has got better and better and better. I've done more and more education. I've done the OTE. I jumped on with Pro Coach and did their photo shoot. Learned a lot of that. I've since had Alex now as my coach, Alex Gates now for 3 years. Learned a lot from them. I carried on with the coaching of ICM. I've done the J3 University qualification. So I've carried on my education, and it has enabled me to get better and better results with my clients. And I continue to reinvest in my education because I want to get the best results I possibly can for my clients. And the more education I feel that you do, the better you can get your clients to their goal. My last photo shoot was by far my most productive in terms of results. But what I've done each photo shoot is that there's always something you can learn. And if you've got the ability to criticize yourself and look at what mistakes did you do, what did you learn, what did you need to learn. On one of the photo shoots, it was probably 4 photo shoots ago, I had my partner on there, and she got into great shape. But I made a critical mistake on the last week before the shoot. I gave her too many carbs, and it was a learning curve at that point. I didn't realize how big a mistake I'd made with it till I seen like, fuck, this is too late. But I took that learning and I adapted it, and now it's become a critical part of where I know when to push and pull. So having the ability to look at what you do and how well you do something, and have you done this right? Have you made a mistake? Have you learned from that mistake? And I definitely fucking learned from my mistake with that. The saving grace, it was my partner, and she totally understood. If that had been somebody else, that could have been quite damaging to my reputation at that point. But I also like look at it and think, okay, if I hadn't have made that mistake, I wouldn't have learned from it, and I wouldn't be potentially getting the results I'm getting now, because it has become a critical part of how I look at things, which is been great. As I say, I try to look at each shoot and think, okay, what did you do that you could do better? What did I do that worked well? And each shoot I will pick apart, and I will look at and think, okay, what can I do better to make my clients' results get better? And I now start implementing some of these things into my general population clients and my lifestyle clients of like, okay, can this be implemented? This is implemented really well with a photo shoot to get the desired effect short term. But how can I implement this going forwards with clients that don't want to do a photo shoot? And you don't have to do a photo shoot when you train with me. It's not my be all and end all. I've got clients who will just say, no, it's not for me. But I can implement certain aspects of what we do on a photo shoot to get a great result with a general population client. And my client base has changed over the years. So I've gone from training people that are newbies within the gym to recently I'm now working with a lot more advanced clients that have been in the gym for a few years, but they're now wanting more structure around training. They've probably most of them tried to get the results themselves, and have just fell a little bit short of where they're at. And now I take the reins and we push on and we get that next level result. And I've got coming up a client going into a competition, which is fantastic. I've got my next photo shoot coming up. So there's constantly things that I've been trying to build on, and I value education for myself to then produce great results for my clients. So it's been personal training is one of them careers that I've taken on over the years. And if I'd have known more about the educational side of pot before, I think I'd be a lot further on. Because definitely the last 5-6 years, I've put a lot of time, emphasis on my own coaching, my own training, my own education around, okay, how do we make these results better? How do you get better results? If you look at the top guys, it's not a coincidence these guys have done a lot around education to get the results they have. And I started looking at, okay, who's the successful ones in this industry? Who are they surrounding themselves around? Who are they doing? And I've started to do that over the last 5 years. I try and surround myself with educational people that I can learn from. I've learned a lot off my coach, Alex Gates. I've learned a lot off following what the pro coach guys do, looking at the Physique Collective, looking at JP, looking at what Cuba does, listen to how he talks about training. You can learn a lot off people. And in investing yourself in your education, like Cuba surrounds himself with John Jewett, J3 University. I did the J3 University course. Like, to make yourself better and to keep yourself progressing, I feel you need to invest within yourself and your own education. Like, and that is what I've done strongly. And if it wasn't for what I learnt through the biomechanics courses, through the J3 University course, the M10 course, ICM course, I definitely wouldn't be getting the results I have today and be the coach I am today. And I would never say I'm the furthest thing from one of the best coaches, but I do get decent results now. And they're only going to get better the more and more I invest within myself. I'm confident in that, because I know that the more I put more time and effort and emphasis I put into my clients, the more I'm going to reap the benefits of getting more clients to work with and help. And I have a massive passion. I love taking a client onto a photo shoot and seeing their result. Like, I can't describe the buzz you get when you're standing in that photo that shoot day, and you're at the studio wherever you are, and just looking at how well these guys look. They're tanned up, their abs are popping, their muscles are looking great. And then you compare where they've come from in them 13, 14 weeks. I don't feel there's any better result. And like, watching and talking to the guys and seeing like how things have changed their lives, how they feel better, healthier. Like, I've had clients that have said to me, "Look, you got me off drink." Did I know that prior? No, I never knew that it was something they never disclosed to me till later in the coaching process, where the trust came through. Like, having someone like put that much trust in you is something that you'll never get used to. It's humbling as anything, but it's the best feeling is when you see your client come out the other side, like, in top shape. Like one of my clients currently, Dan, he's like, he decided to do the photo shoot because he wanted to do something different. I wanted a goal, and he so openly says he never expected to get abs, but as soon as he got abs, you better believe that guy worked even harder, because he loved the fact that them results came. Like, him and his missus, between them in that photo shoot, they dropped over 50 pounds. Like, no, sorry, over 100 pounds, about 50 pounds each. I think Remy ended about at that point at 43 pounds. Dan was about 56 pounds, something like that. Crazy amount of weight they lost, but you believe these guys worked their asses off. Like, and I love the fact of like helping people. So for me, like, coaching is rewarding. You get paid to do something you absolutely love, and I do genuinely love helping people and taking people that next level, showing them, like, yeah, you might get stuck. You've tried this before, but it's not the end of it. Like, just because you couldn't get yourself in shape, there's something you might be missing, and generally they normally are missing a very tiny part of something to get them that next stage. So that's been 30 minutes of me rambling about my life. Hopefully you guys have understood a little bit more about me and what I do. I've done numerous things over the years. Kickboxing, work with people on doing pad works. Some of my good friends are professional MMA fighters, K1 fighters. I've done pads for them. I've done competitions. I've done boxing. I've taught kickboxing, and it all stems from, as I grew up, I just started to. The kickboxing side of things stemmed from me being an angry little bastard, to be honest. From kickboxing, wanted to be a personal trainer. From being a personal trainer, wanted to open a gym. And that's been how I've progressed my life. Hope that gives you guys a little bit of an insight of me, really. Thanks.